Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back, of course, to the Time Bomb channel with himself, Bombardier, and hope all is good in your part of the world. And yeah, we don't have a new watch in for you today. It's another vintage one, I'm afraid. Um, it's been sent into the channel by a subscriber, which is absolutely perfect for me because then this is the original version of the current version which I have here. So yeah, superb. So let's just drop in the camera 1 second. So what we're looking at then essentially is one of the early versions of the Citizen Aqualand. Now this particular one is reference C020 086899, and to me it's an absolute classic from Citizen. And I think due to its continued success and sales, I think it's certainly a demonstrable favourite among both wet water and desk divers. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe that there were at least, or have been at least, up to 14 variants of the Aqualand. So if you are looking for a rabbit hole to fall down, then this one is a very good one, because you could certainly easily collect all of those variants, but I'm certainly not endorsing that you spend your money in that way. Now, a little bit awkward with this one because I believe it's either the version from 87 or 97. I'm going to go with 87 because to me the combination of the module and the serial numbers seems to suggest that that's more the case. But unfortunately, against that argument is the fact that the number of dings and wear to the watch is actually really quite minimal, which may then also, so I'm suggesting it may not have been used as a dive tool watch, or perhaps it's just testament to the robustness of these watches. You can just see at the top there on the digi screen that the module is working. However, there's a little bit of an issue with this in the settings mode. So when you're going into settings to try and adjust things, it doesn't always retain that information. It might just be that one of the sensors or something internally is just a little bit off. I'm not going to bore you with the details on that, so we're going to skip over the module functions because I just wanted to do a little bit more of a compare and contrast of the, as I say, the slightly refreshed version. As I say, mine from 2019, and mine is the reference C520. Now, I did do a full review of mine quite some time back, so I'll pop in a link just up here if you're interested in checking that out. So the older one then, obviously, as I mentioned at the beginning, is one of the C020s. That's not actually the serial number. Let's just pop onto the case back here. But it actually is indicative of the caliber. And it also then references the models, because you basically then got C020, all the way C021, all the way up to C029. With a whole bunch of variants, as I mentioned previously, coming in titanium, the two-tone versions, etc., etc. Now, of course, these watches made a little bit extra famous, I think, in the movie The Big Blue. However, I have to say, I'm not sure that movie would have been the same without Enzo. But back to the two watches, and I'll try and concentrate on that. And let's just try and identify some of the key differences, and then also some of the key similarities. So, nice up similarity is that essentially the case bodies are the same size. Lug width on both come in at 24s. But you can also see then that the case, some of the significant changes, you can see how the case body drops into the lugs on the newer version. They're much more swollen, whereas here they seem to be a little more svelte-like, and a little harsher, whereas these ones, yeah, much smoother, perhaps. And I think also that the newer version is about a mil deeper. And I think that probably is down to the screw down case back that you have here. Case back here, as you can see, is much flusher to the case body. And again, as I say, both are the same, I think, pretty much north to south, the specs. There's a difference in the lug design, as you can see here, but I mean, on my measurements, when I just measured them briefly before, they seem to be quite similar. Oddly though, a key difference that you might be able to pick up is that the older version, to me, it seems that the crystal is fractionally larger. There seems to be more open face on the dial. I measured it again. It was a little bit of a tough measurement, but it seems to be about 1 to 2 millimeters, making that just a little bit more open. Also, the retort on the new one, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. The new one, it seems to just slant in closer to the 45, whereas on the older one there, it seems to drop straight down a bit flusher, maybe closer to the 90-degree drop onto the dial face. It could just be my OCD. So again, if you actually know any different about that, please do drop us a comment down below. Another key aspect that has changed slightly is the around the depth sensor, with the housing. I think around the depth sensor on the newer one here is slightly more streamlined, whereas on the older one here it's a little bit more bulky, more of a buttress as it sticks out on the side there. Unfortunately, of course, those depth sensors now superseded by modern dive computers. Yeah, bit of a shame, but also allows this watch to be additionally quirky. Another key difference that I've picked up on, just on that contrast, is that on the older one, the crown seems to sit at around 10 past 4, whereas on the newer one, it's much more punctual, sitting flush to the 4. Again, a tough measurement, but the digi window on the new one is also bigger, and as you can see then it sits closer to the center, allowing for better visibility at the top. So clearly, you know, a very conscious design decision there. I think I made the guesstimate on this one around 15 mils, and on the older one it's around 12 mils for that window. Notice another significant difference then is that on the new one, it is crowned by the hour markers, which is quite a nice touch, whereas on the older one it's almost like held up by some Greek columns around there, just framing the outside and the underneath, supporting the date window, you know, with the depth and with the weight of the information contained therein. I have to say that I think I prefer the dial design there, with the hour markers just crowning that top digi a little bit more, because I think it looks less of a cutout than it does actually on this one of the original versions. Just on the bottom there, that the water resist has now obviously changed to Divers 200. The font on the bezel looks pretty similar to me. Yeah, it's pretty close. But side on, let me just put the two of them together, you can see what I mean. There we go. So the older one being on top, newer one on the bottom. So you can see that the newer one is a much deeper bezel, and then also the hatchings are a little less fine, thus allowing for, you know, probably greater purchase area on the new one. Maybe again they just picked up on that with the old one. Let's just have a quick action check here. So yeah, brilliant aged watch from a few years back. Still works perfectly. And yes, to the Seiko fans out there, it lines up. Ooh, does it? Yeah, just maybe a half click off at the top. Anyway, yeah, I spoke too soon there. Just a comparison with the newer one. Yeah, the newer one sounds like a baby passing wind, whereas the older one, yeah, skirts around it with a very different sound. Interesting difference, that one. Okay, must be just around the spring. Yeah, you can just see there that it doesn't line up perfectly. Excellent. Yeah, there was me trying to have a dig at Seiko. Yeah, hoist with my own petard. Anyway, moving on. I think, yeah, around the edges there, you can see that the case body on the newer version is you know, it's exactly based on that older one, slightly tweaked. Just give you a shot of the reverse side there. You can see that on the newer one, the pushes are slightly closer together. But I do how they've kept the tiny details on the newer ones. So you see here, you've just got the little indentation there on the newer one. So Shaun the Sheep has gone flying. And then on the original ones here, obviously that little strap edge spacer, allowing, you know, for full movement when you're wearing that deeper strap into it. The case back, of course, on the original then is that classic design, you know, bespoke piece. And of course, yeah, held in with those 6 screws. And yes, to the eagle-eyed amongst you, you probably spotted that not all the screws on the back here do look like they are originals. Sorry, a little tough with the Erica's original here to show you, obviously, then the screw back design on here. Again, much flusher, much nicer finishing. But yeah, I do appreciate the vintage oddity that is, that shape pursues there, but obviously then just held in with those screws. And again, as we can see, it says here don't remove, but clearly, you know, somebody's had a good fiddle on this. But yeah, I guess when it's that old, it's probably had a couple of owners. Back to the front, and another detail. So where are we? Pick it up here. So you can see the laser etching function indicators on the top of the case body there, indicating, you know, mode and set. Bizarrely, on the old one, they're actually clearer to read than they are on the new one. Now, I had this for a couple of years, and I didn't actually even see those things until somebody on one of my videos pointed it out. They're so faint. It's like a really odd decision. I can understand that they put them on, you know, that faint, you know, so they don't become disruptive, etc., etc. But I mean, you've got to look blooming hard to actually spot them in the first place. Anyway, moving on. So the loom has held up on the old one pretty well. As you can see here, everything's still fairly clear and fairly even. And then, of course, next to the newer one, we can just see that newer one then has that just additional shine, as you would expect from a 3-year-old watch, as opposed to, you know, one from you know, closer to 30 years old. The last observation I think that I've got is that I do, and it's one of the things that attracted me to the watches in the first place, is that I love the matte finish on these. I'm not a massive fan of shiny watches. I mean, yeah, I'm wearing a Citizen Tough here today in that muted titanium. Again, I don't know, it just seems to be calmer, warmer. As I say, I really do like that finishing. And I like it specifically because it's a dive tool watch, and I think that finishing is just much more fit for purpose. Of course, the overall case design as well. Sorry, I got this one upside down. The overall case design is something that I just absolutely love. It's a bit of a watch oddity in that sense, and that's what I like about it. This was a watch design that has been born out of function, and it's certainly not been vying for any fashion awards. But it can easily be worn as a desk diver due to its slimish profile. It'll slip under most cuffs. Seeing this older one has kind of made me you know, have a quick look on Fleabay to see if I can pick up a vintage version to sit next to this one. Because just for reference, I mean, the reason I've got this one is because my older brother had one of these. You know, when I was a grommet, and you know, I fell in love with his watch, got loads of envy, jealousy, etc., and so that's why I just had to get myself one of these. So yeah, maybe at some stage in the future, I shall feed that fire and do it. All right, guys. Too much temptation, I know. So there we go. That's a wrap. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please do hit the sub button down below and the notification bell if you can also, as we are very close to that millennial marker, which is brilliant. Hope to be able to do a quick giveaway. Thanks as always for your time and for your view. And I know we're getting to sort of, you know, festive holiday period wherever you are. Just wanted to wish you all the best, guys. Prosperous, happy, healthy new year, etc. And yeah, we'll be back soon with some further content. Of course, till the next vid, this is your host, the Bombardier, signing off. Cheers, guys.